Hello, everyone. So this is for the subject strategic business analysis, and we are on the lesson 3, which is about the needs assessment. So this video is for the last topic of this lesson. But before we proceed on that, we just have a recap of what we already discussed. For the first process of the needs assessment, we need to identify the problems or opportunity. To do that, we need to identify the stakeholders first, then investigate the problems or opportunity, gather relevant data to evaluate the situation. We have to draft the situation statement and obtain stakeholders' approval for the situation statement. So once we have clarified the problems or the opportunity, we need to assess the current state of the organization. So to do that, we can do this analysis, assess the organizational goals and objectives by examining the goals and objectives if this is SMART, using the SWOT analysis and a relevant criteria. And we have to perform root cause analysis on the situation. We have discussed the 5 whys strategy or analysis and the cost and effect diagrams. Next is to determine the required capabilities needed to address the situation using the capability table, affinity diagram, or benchmarking. We also need to assess the current capabilities of the organization using the process flows, enterprise and business architectures, and capability frameworks. These are only an example of the analysis, but any organizations can use other analysis tools to assess the needs of the organization. And the last step is about the identification of the gap in organizational capabilities. So when we say capabilities, this is commonly referred to as to be features and functions and are easily identified by performing the gap analysis. Now, the last topic is about the recommend action to address a business and needs. So once the gaps between the current and needed capabilities are identified, a recommendation can be made to fill the gaps. So these features and functions are only part of the recommendation. The business analyst also provides a high-level approach to add the new capabilities, alternative approaches to consider, the feasibility of each alternative, and a preferred order to the alternatives. So this work provides significant value to the organization as it helps to ensure that the organization does not implement the wrong solution. So what do we need to do? To recommend the actions to address the business needs, we have to include a high-level approach for adding capabilities. A complete recommendation includes a high proposal stating how the needed capabilities will be acquired. It is a suggested path for adding the capabilities. We need to provide alternative options for satisfying the business needs. The primary reason for providing alternatives is to show that the alternatives were considered and to forestall objections from those who favor them. Another reason for including alternatives is because the preferred approach may not be acceptable. And the last one is to identify constraints, assumptions, and risks for each option. So understanding the list of constraints, risks, and assumptions is useful when analyzing project proposals. for addressing the business need, and when conducting the project planning, should the proposal be accepted. So constraints are any limitations on a team's option to execute a program or project and may be business or technical related. So example, if a time constraint to deliver a solution is imposed on a potential project, a custom-built solution may not be a viable option and would need to be removed, or at best, not be listed as a preferred option. When we are talking about assumptions, assumptions are factors that are considered to be true, real, or certain without actual proof or demonstration. If any assumptions are proven to be incorrect, it is important to reassess the identified needs or perhaps the entire business case. While risks are uncertain events or conditions that may have a positive or negative effect on one or more project objectives if they occur. Potential risks for various alternatives can have a significant effect on the perception of business leaders when selecting potential projects. Major risks for each alternative should be noted along with potential mitigation strategies and their costs. And risks that need a response may add cost to a potential solution. The next thing to do is to assess feasibility and organizational impact of each option. Before deciding which option is preferred, the business analyst assesses the feasibility of each potential options. In doing so, one or more options may be disregarded due to lack of feasibility. The assessment involves comparing potential solution options for how viable each appears to be on key variables or feasibility factors. This comparison, along with the elimination of any options that are not deemed sufficiently feasible, is called a feasibility analysis. So another reason for analyzing the feasibility of alternatives is to reserve the often painstaking work of cost-benefit analysis for only the most feasible option. The type of feasibility analysis described here is not a full business case in that the latter includes a complete economic analysis. Performing a complete business case only for the most viable options will save a valuable time. So we have these factors to consider. First is the operational feasibility. Operational feasibility represents how well the proposed solution fits the business needs. It also encompasses the receptivity of the organization to the change and whether the change can be sustained after it is implemented. So some of the questions may include how well does the option in question meet the business needs? Or how does the solution fit into the organization, including its impact on the organizations? The next one is about technology system feasibility. Technology feasibility pertains to whether or not the technology and technical skills exist or can be affordably obtained to adopt and support the proposed change. In addition, it includes whether the proposed change is compatible with other parts of the technical infrastructure. So some of the questions may include, does the technology for a potential solution exist in the organization? If not, it is feasible to acquire it. Does the organization have the technical expertise to install or operate the potential solution? The next one is about cost effectiveness feasibility. So before conducting a full-fledged cost-benefit analysis of a potential solution, a high-level assessment of the financial feasibility of potential solutions is essential. Cost effectiveness during feasibility analysis is not intended to be a complete cost benefit analysis, but an initial and high-level feasibility estimate of costs and value of the benefits. So the potential questions may include, what are the upfront and ongoing costs for the proposed solutions? Are the potential solutions affordable in view of the expected benefits? Can the funding be obtained for the investment needed? The next one is the time feasibility. A potential solution will be feasible if it can be delivered within time constraints. Potential questions to ask include, can a given solution option be delivered to meet the organization's time frame? How reasonable is a proposed option's timeline? And the last one is recommend the most viable option. So assuming that more than one option remains viable after feasibility analysis, the business analyst should recommend the most feasible option. So we can do the weighted ranking. So ranking two or more options can be done using various techniques. A practical and effective method is to use a weighted ranking matrix. So here we are comparing or pairing and matching with weighted criteria to add objective to a recommendation. This is also the same with the score ranking. Of what we are prioritizing in the organization. We can also conduct a cost-benefit analysis for recommended option. Again, since this is just for need assessment, we are not doing it a full-blown. Before recommending a preferred option, a cost-benefit analysis should be performed. The expected project benefits and costs and need to be articulated in greater detail during a cost-benefit analysis than during a feasibility analysis. So the most common evaluation techniques for the cost-benefit analysis are the payback period, the return on investment, the internal rate of return, and the net present value. I know these are all familiar with you since you are all an accounting student. Then we need to assemble the business case. Not all business problems or opportunities required a formal business case. Executives is an organization may approve of programs and projects based on competitive pressure, government mandate, or executive inclination. In those cases, a project charter to initiate a program or project is sufficient. But in most instances, the analysis performed in the business case helps organizations select the best programs and projects to meet the needs of the business. Business cases help organizations scrutinize programs and projects in a consistent manner. When this process is embraced, organizations will consistently make better decisions. Business cases help organizations scrutinize the programs. Not all business problems or opportunities require a formal business case. Executives in an organization may approve programs and projects based on competitive pressure, government mandate, or executive inclination. In those cases, a project charter is initiate a project charter to initiate a program or project is sufficient. In most instances, the analysis performed in the business case helps organizations select the best program and projects to meet the needs of the business. Business cases help organizations scrutinize programs and projects in a consistent manner. When this process is embraced, organizations will consistently make better decisions. Organizations often have their own standards for what to include in a business case and will employ a set of templates or business case software to simplify and standardize a process. A common set of components in any business case should minimally include the following. First is the problem or opportunity. So specify what is prompting the need for action. Use a situation statement or similar way to document the business problem or opportunity to be accrued through a program or project. Include relevant data to assess the situation and identify which stakeholders or stakeholder groups are affected. Next is analysis of the situation. Organizational goals and objectives are listed to assess how a potential solution supports and contributes to them. Include root causes of the problem or maintain contributors of an opportunity. Support the analysis through relevant data to confirm the rationale. Include needed capabilities versus existing capabilities. The gaps between them will form the program or project objectives. And the recommendation, present results of a feasibility analysis for each potential option. Specify any constraints, assumptions, risks, and dependencies for each option. Rank order the alternatives and list the recommended one. Include why it is recommended and why the others are not. We have to summarize the cost-benefit analysis for the recommended option. Include the implementation approach, including milestones, dependencies, roles, and responsibilities. And we need the evaluation. So evaluation includes a plan for measuring benefits realization. This plan typically includes the metrics to evaluate how the solution contributes to goals and objectives. It may necessitate additional work to capture and report those metrics. Please take note the formality of a documented business case and project's charter is commonly required in large or highly regulated companies, while this formality may not always apply in smaller organizations or in some organizations which have adopted an agile approach. The thought process of defining the problems or opportunity, analyzing the situation, making recommendations, and defining evaluation criteria is applicable to all organizations. The last that we need to do is the value of the business case. So everyone in the organizations must understand the value of the business case. This is a more than a simple input. A business case is a living document that is constantly referred throughout a program or project of work. It may be necessary to review and update a business case based on what is discovered as a program or project progresses over time. When a business case is inadequate or non-existent, the product scope may be unclear or poorly defined. This in turn often leads to scope creep, which results in rework, cost overruns, and project delays. A business case can help to address the possible risks of having to cancel a project due to loss of sponsor or stakeholders' support, costs exceeding and perceived benefits, and changes to the business. Possibly the worst than terminating a project is finishing a project only to have the end product not be used because the solution did not match the business and needs. The net effect of canceled projects and unused products are wasted investments, lost opportunity costs, and frustrations. I think that ends the discussions about needs and assessments. Any questions, clarifications, suggestions, please comment on our Google Classroom or in our group chats. Thank you for listening, everyone.